Hello, good morning again. Welcome to part 3 of my seascape tutorial. For those of you who have been following over the last few weeks, you'll realise that we've now got our sea in place with our shimmers on it, and we've also got a few waves in place. So what I'm going to do this morning is we're going to be looking down here at actually putting a beach in place. So when I come to do a beach, I look at all sorts of different textures and weights of fabric. Obviously, depending on the size of the piece that I'm doing, you can actually use some quite thick and textured fabrics in larger pieces, but today I'm going to keep it fairly light because this is quite a small piece. So basically, if I can pick you up and take you over here, I've got a nice collection of bits and pieces, so we'll just go through it. This is some sari silk, which has been dyed in a lovely sandy colour. And you can pick, normally when it comes it's hand dyed, so you've got varying shades, you can just cut out what you want. Here we have some sandy coloured cotton. This is like a sort of a pitted velvety sort of material. It's quite nice actually, it's quite smooth to touch, but it gives a bit of texture. Here is some vintage lace. This is a little bit of satin, which I have distressed by using my embellisher. So for any of you that have got embellishers, that is quite a good thing to do to get texture in some of your smoother fabrics. Coming down here again, a bit crumpled up at the moment. This is some more coloured sari silks. And then we're going to finish off with a slightly heavier weight piece of vintage lace. So I'm just going to pop you back in place so that you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to start off by using the 505 spray. And I'm just going to spray the first piece that I want. And I think for that it's going to be this piece here. And then the reason why we didn't stitch here is so that we can now lift that up and pop that underneath. Just want to bring that maybe down a little bit. Actually, I think I'll put that the other way around. There's always a lot of fiddling that goes on here. There we are. So that then, as you can see, tucks neatly underneath there. So then we're moving on to our piece of sari silk. Now then, you can press this out and make it smooth. I tend to prefer to just have it a bit crumpled because it adds something to the texture. Particularly as you get down towards the front of a piece, you can see that that almost looks like the way that the sand folds when the tide has gone out. Now then, as I've said to you before, you can, if you feel more comfortable, stitch each piece as you go along. And I totally understand that for some of you who maybe haven't done this before, that would be preferable. So that piece is just going to tuck in there like that. It's a little bit long, so we'll get rid of its tail. I'm going to leave the lace for the minute because the lace is going to go on afterwards. So I'm just going to pop that little bit of texture there, like that. And it's gradually building up, and it's building up with colour, but it's also building up with texture. Each piece just giving a light spray, and because that piece didn't go all the way across, you can angle this piece a little bit like that, and that will cover up so that you've got no straightforward joins. Everything sticks to your fingers. And then this bit is just going to go down the bottom here. And that looks probably like a bit of a jumbled mess at the moment. I'm going to leave those pieces of lace. I'll move that across there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to stitch all these pieces just in place. It's just about holding them in place. So again, I'm going to use my clear nylon thread to do this, because you're actually going to get all the texture and the interest, not from the stitch, but from the actual textures in the fabric. So just going to bring that up here. Like that. As usual. Bring that up to the top. Just bring that down. Right, okay. Let's just lift that up a bit for you. So I've just started it here. You don't need to stitch the bottom line of the C. That stays permanently unstitched because it looks much more natural that way. So you start off by stitching the layers of sand fabric that you've put down. And again, like you do in most of the other pieces with the C and everything like that, you just start here and you just stitch along. You don't have to be straight, because you want to get that natural feeling of the sand and the ebb and flow of how the sand actually folds with the sea, and how the sea actually makes the sand have patterns, really. Just going to take that out a bit because that's just got stuck. And we'll just replace that. We all get in a bit of a tangle sometimes. For those of you who think that it doesn't happen to me, it does, as you can see. Right. Just bring that up here. Where were we? We were here, right. All you're doing is just making sure that each piece is just poured down. Like so. We'll just snip off all these loose ends to keep them out of the way. There we are. So now you've got something that looks like that. Then I'm just going to add in some lace just to blend things a little bit more. And you don't have to be terribly precise about this. I normally just sort of pop it on there like that. It just helps to blend things together. And then I'm just going to put this in the bottom corner like that. Just going to get my mount just to make sure that that's in the right place. And then we just stitch those pieces in place as well. So I'll bring this back. Exactly the same principle. Bring your thread up through. And just straight through the middle of the lace. You don't have to go around the edges. It's not going to be seen. Down here and just very randomly this bit of lace as well here. Just cut off the ends again. Right, let's offer up the, there we are. Now then, I'm just going to pick you up so that you can have a proper look at this. I'll just show you first of all, that's all stitched on very loosely. When you give it a press, things will smooth out a little bit, but it's nice to get some texture in the sand. And then if you see when I put this on, you can see what a difference that actually makes. So I'm going to give that a press. When I give it a press, because I've got silks and vintage lace and things like that on it that are a bit fragile, turn your piece over, press on the back, and that will be absolutely fine, obviously with not too hot an iron. So I will give that a press now. What we will be looking at next week is how we finish this piece now. So next week, part 4 will be the last piece, and we'll look at how we add a little bit more detail in the sands down here, and how we can do that with beads and buttons and hand embroidery, just to finish the piece off. So I hope you've enjoyed watching today. Do have a go. I know that there are quite a few of you. I've seen some photographs that you've been sending me that are having a go at this, and I must say you're all doing fantastically well. So keep up the good work. Keep sending me the photographs, and I'll join you next week for the final instalment. Thank you.